This episode is sponsored by Auto Trader. See a car in that movie you just watched?
Well, you can find it on Auto Trader. Shop millions of new and used cars on Auto Trader.
Welcome to Ear Biscuits, the podcast where two lifelong friends talk about life for a long time. I'm Link.
And I'm Rhett. This week at the Round Table of Dim Lighting, we're going to tell you about our recent nature excursion, death-defying.
Oh, yes.
We got so close to falling into a boiling, acidic pool that could have sloughed off our skin. Well, how close did we get, really?
We could have gotten gored by a bison as
That's
well.
right, yeah.
Both of these things happen a lot in Yellowstone National Park, which is one stop we made in our annual college buddies trip.
Look, I got a new t-shirt, Link.
And we're gonna tell you all about that. I like that shirt. I was like, well, hold on. We didn't go
Into a gift
souvenir
shop?
shopping.
Right. We didn't. It's kind of
So
funny.
where'd you get? You came home and bought a Yellowstone National Park shirt like off the internet.
No. So you and Greg left early because you had an earlier flight.
Mm-hmm. Had to move Lincoln back into college.
Right. And so
He's a big old sophomore now.
Greg took you to the airport, and that means that Tim and Harm and I basically went later.
Mm-hmm.
But what we did is they all, including me in that we wanted some souvenirs. We wanted to take some stuff home for the fam, whatever. Maybe get a t-shirt. And so
I don't do any of that.
one of them Googled a gift shop in Bozeman, which is where we flew out. And then as we were driving, as we were following the directions to the gift shop, we were like, oh, this is just the airport gift shop.
You Googled.
This is where we're
gift
just
shop.
going to the airport early for the gift shop. And I was already early because my flight was an hour after theirs. So I was like, I'm gonna have a lot of time in this Bozeman airport, which, you know, it's a nice airport, but it's not a big airport.
I should have worn my souvenir. I didn't remember that we were talking about the show. And a matter of fact,
yeah.
I tried on my souvenir this morning. I looked at myself in the mirror with it on.
Damn, yeah.
A cowboy hat. I bought a cowboy hat.
A cowboy hat is the silhouette of the hat. I would say it's
Right.
It's more of a.
It's a light, very light gray. It's fuzzy almost.
I think it's called unfinished felt or something like that.
Yeah, the felt wasn't trimmed, so it was kind of fuzzy, and it was a vintage hat that you found.
I found and tried it on because it's caught my eye. I was like, that's a really unusual. I don't wear cowboy hats, but if I'm going to wear one, it would be like, well, it needs to be something besides just like a guy who looks like a rancher. And I just put it on top of my head, and it just sort of
teetered.
It set up on the top of my head.
And then I didn't even see you try it on, I don't think.
No, well, and then you were over on the wall of hats.
And
I
I
was
saw
like, well, that's the best hat right there.
I independently saw the hat, and I tried it on.
It fit your head.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous.
I bought the hat that Rhett wanted.
You had to get the hat that I wanted.
And I mean, I don't know when or how I would ever wear this hat, but I had to wear it home because I couldn't pack it, and I was flying, and I flew directly to meet. I didn't fly into LA. I flew directly to meet Christy and Lando and Lincoln to move him into college.
Right.
So here I am, like wearing my normal outfit plus a cowboy hat. And
It's the kind of cowboy hat that goes with a regular outfit, though.
oh, really? I wore it on when I was wearing it down the street right after I bought it.
Well, you don't really have regular outfits. I didn't mean to say that. So I would just say, whatever you're wearing at the time, adding a light gray, unfinished felt
Fuzzy
cowboy hat kind of just probably goes with it.
Okay, well, that's the green
I'm
light.
saying that.
I like that. I mean, I was walking down the street having just bought it in downtown Bozeman. Of course, I'm looking at my reflection in the store windows, and I'm talking to my boys, including you. I'm like, wait, what do you think of this hat? And I asked Harm, and he's like, well, you look like an unserious man.
Yeah, right. He was like, I think he said that.
Actually, he said that in the store when I was thinking about buying it. I was like, do you think I should buy this? And he was like, well, it fits you, but you look like an unserious man.
I
was
don't
like,
think he said
what?
but. No, I think he said it confirms.
Oh, yeah, I said, well, I am an unserious
that you
man.
are an unserious man.
So I wore
if
it.
there were ever any doubt.
I wore it on the plane. I wore it in the airport. I wore it on the campus. I wore it into the room to help Lincoln move in with his 3 suite mates and all of their families there helping him move in. And the first person who saw me was Lando, who like looked at it and didn't say anything.
Right, good.
And then
good
Christy is the second person to see it, and she's like, "Take that off. It's embarrassing."
I'm glad that there are other people in your life that don't have to say the things that I want to say.
I didn't take it off. And then Lincoln and his roommate saw it, and Lincoln just looked. It was like, "Cool."
Oh, that's good. That's good because it's really his opinion that matters in that
He wasn't
scenario.
embarrassed.
You know,
He's
the. No, I'm happy that you found a hat. You know, I'm unhappy that it didn't fit me, but you know, I'm glad you have a fuzzy cowboy hat now.
If your head gets smaller, I'll let you borrow it. Which fat chance.
Well, if I cut my hair, my hat size goes down by 1/4 to a 1/2 inch. Really.
And you have a small head.
Well, the thing is I thought I had a small head. I mean, you look at all these pictures of me, of us growing up when I had a shaved head and no beard, and everybody's like, "How is his head so small?"
Well,
But the circumference
you don't
of my
wear a
head.
big hat.
When my hair is short, my hat size is 7.5, and I don't know if that's average.
I think it's below average.
I don't think it's below average. I thought I had a small head, but I don't think
probably for your body.
I think it's just my body is so big.
All right, and we're gonna get
average.
You look that up.
Hat size.
We're gonna tell you more about our Yellowstone adventures, but I had something happen to me and Christy and Lando 2 days ago, and I got to tell you about this. I got to tell you what happened. I think you're gonna be really surprised at how I interacted with the emergency that I encountered.
The average hat size for men is 7 3/8. So 7.5 is larger than average. And then with
slightly.
Yeah, but you said, yep, hold on.
Okay, yes,
you said I had
you're
a
right.
small head. I have a larger than average head, which is that's
for your size. I think you still have a small
And
head,
then with my hair, it's like 7 3/4.
Okay.
A woman's average head size is 7 1/4.
Okay.
I think my head has grown though. I think as you get older, something happens.
Well, your ears get bigger and your nose gets bigger.
But I think something happens with your skull. I mean, this is a hard thing. This isn't cartilage. This is not like what's happening with your ears. I think something keeps. I think maybe it's just I read so much.
Yep, that's it.
I mean, the information's got to go somewhere, and so it's like, well, we got to push out on your skull. That's why I also get headaches.
Well, especially because it's just audiobooks. I mean, when you take
it's
it
one
in,
part of my brain.
When MP3s go in there,
Right.
It really swells it.
Right.
Reminder, we're doing it again this year, Good Mythical Evening. This is the R-rated, unfiltered experience where there's inebriation, there's adult concepts, languages,
concepts,
and we take the formats of Good Mythical Morning and we subvert them into trying to see if you can match my freak. All right.
And listen, it's a live event,
October 25th.
And because it's October 25th, well, that gave us the opportunity to do something that I'm very excited about, which is to make it Halloween themed. Yes, it's Good Mythical Evening, sexy, scary, stupid. The two of us and all your favorite mythical folk will be different horror characters for the evening.
Oh yeah, the key art. If you look at the poster for this thing,
it's gonna get scary, man.
What's the site? GoodMythicalEvening.com. You got to buy a ticket to see this live streaming event. There's also a video on demand ticket so you can watch it for X number of days afterward if you can't be there for the live event. And if you want to really go all the way and see it in a theater, we are partnering with Alamo Draft House. There's
Again, we did that last year.
handful of Alamo Draft Houses that are gonna be showing it on the big screen. So you can go in there, you get exclusive mythical
Menu
items.
Yep.
And you get to watch it with other mythical beasts, and
That's
gonna be fun.
Watching us embarrass ourselves in front of a jury of your peers, it'll be fun. You know, it's doing it with friends and making friends. Those people who go to the Alamo, they get to make friends with other.
Go early so you can eat
weird
all your
folk.
food and get pregame a little bit.
Ear Biscuits is brought to you by BetterHelp.
One of our mottos here at Mythical is stay curious. It's important for us to ask questions and then see what happens. It's an ethos that has been very rewarding in terms of not only creating content, but keeping our lives fresh. We're like grown-up kids in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. And kids are always learning and growing, but as adults, sometimes we lose that curiosity.
What's something you'd like to learn? Gardening, a new language, or maybe how to finally beat your best friend in bowling?
Therapy can help you reconnect with your sense of wonder because your back-to-school era can come at any age.
I feel that. I actually talk about the development of our show Wonderhole a lot and how personally I've wanted to make it a playground for creativity within therapy. We are huge advocates for therapy. So if you're thinking of starting, give BetterHelp a try.
It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge.
Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/ear today to get 10% off your first month.
That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ear.
You know, there's so many really good streaming television shows that aren't in English, Rhett. And you can turn on the subtitles, or you can learn the language.
Oh, okay.
Like Lando is doing. Mm-hmm.
He is?
Yep, to watch his anime.
Well, if you would like that, in comes Rosetta Stone, the most trusted language learning program available on desktop or as an app that truly immerses you in the language you want to learn.
They've used trusted experts for 30 years with millions of users and 25 languages offered, some of which include Spanish, French, German, Korean, Chinese, Japanese, and Arabic.
Rosetta Stone immerses you in many ways. The lessons help you pick up a language naturally, first with words, then phrases, then sentences.
And it's designed for long-term retention. Plus, their built-in true accent feature gives you feedback on your pronunciation so you end up sounding like a pro.
A lifetime membership has all 25 languages for all language needs in your life. That's lifetime access to all 25 language courses Rosetta Stone offers for 50% off. That's a steal.
Don't put off learning that language. There's no better time than right now to get started. You can get Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership for 50% off. Visit rosettastone.com/ear.
That's 50% off unlimited access to 25 language courses for the rest of your life. Redeem your 50% off at rosettastone.com/ear today.
I was very happy when Lando asked me this past Sunday if we could go to Amoeba Records. Lando has started getting into buying records. You know, we have a record player there in the living room, and like, he's really started to develop his music taste. He's more of a R&B guy than you know, than a hip hop guy. So that it's interesting. He likes soul singers.
Soul singers.
I mean, like, but modern day, like Brent Faiyaz, Victoria Monet. But also getting into some folk stuff. Like we both love Clairo. Anyway, so I jumped at the chance. So the three of us hop in the car to go to Amoeba in Hollywood, which is, you know, world famous record store. It's absolutely huge. Like I knew he was gonna feel this way when he went in there, and he was. It was like,
This is his first time.
what do I do? It's so big.
It's like the Virgin Mega Store in New York. Remember that one?
No, not really. Like a tape store?
It's probably not as big as that one actually, but it's very big.
Of course, it's on Hollywood and Vine, I believe, or one block off of that, maybe. Anyway, we had to park in the parking garage behind it, and I was a little confused. So like, there's two entrances and one says private and one's public, and I'm like sitting there trying to figure out which entrance to go into, and I'm pulling a little bit more into the private one by accident. And as I'm rounding the corner, turning left to like pull in there, Christy kind of looks ahead and she's like, something's happening. That's what she said. Something's happening.
Uh-oh.
And I stopped the car right there. I made sure that I was out of traffic, but I didn't want to pull in further and have somebody, I didn't know what this something was that was happening.
Where was she looking?
She was looking straight ahead where I was about to drive. Like it's kind of a ramp going.
But you couldn't see it.
I couldn't see it because there was a pillar there that I was turning left around to go into the parking deck.
Okay.
And there was a little walkway on the left side of it. And she's like, something's happening. And then she's like, somebody's hurt, was the second thing she said, but there was a beat there. And I'll come back to that, what happened in between those two statements. She gets out of the car, somebody's hurt. So then I put on the flashers and I get out of the car and
Flashers, good idea.
it's two women in their early 20s. One of them is laying on her back and the other one is like supporting her head. And what had happened was she had a seizure and had fallen and hit her head on the concrete. And there was a pool of blood underneath her head. By the time I got up to her, I did not see her seizing. Christy saw her at the tail end of her seizure, but she was still out. And her friend was like on the phone with 911, and then Christy and I were like clarifying what the address was so she could relay it to 911. And she's like, she's panicking. And I go up, Christy goes back to the car to look, she goes back towards the car to look to verify the address to make sure that we were saying we're at the right place, while I go up and like I kneel down beside the girl, and like the injured girl starts to come to, and she's like, what happened? And she like actually starts to smile a little bit, and she was like, I don't feel anything, I'm okay. And then she was like, we're like, don't get up. And then
where was this blood coming from?
The back of her head. And then I went back, me and Christy kept trading places, going back to the car, trying to find something to like put under her head to like stop the bleeding. And we couldn't find anything in the car.
I thought y'all had all kinds of stuff. Certainly y'all have. You're the
like
most
a first aid kit?
You're the most prepared family that I know.
I know.
You're in Christy's car?
We're in my car, and I had Christy put her survival backpack in the back of my car, but I took it out when I got my car washed, and I never put it back in there. And so I'm like looking for any type of napkins or towels or something, and then I'm telling Christy, I'm
like a bunch of In-N-Out napkins.
I think I'm gonna have to take my shirt. I'm gonna take my shirt off and give her my shirt to put on the back of her head to apply some pressure. And plus I thought that would seem pretty heroic, to like, because I was of course thinking only about myself and how I seemed.
Right.
No, I wasn't, but like, I'm like, do I need to take my shirt off? And at that point, Christy,
I think maybe I would have used a sock first before I got to this.
I wasn't wearing socks. See?
You can't use your pants. That's even worse.
Right, you use your shirt before you. And then as I'm about to take my shirt off, Christy comes around with like a canvas Trader Joe's shopping bag.
Perfect. Just put the whole
bag over her head.
I don't want to make light of this.
I know.
We're obviously.
Well, it was scary, but the
woman's okay. You would be telling the story.
When I went back over there, the main thing I was doing, because the paramedics were on their way, was like, I tried to make eye contact with her friend who was freaking out and be like, it's okay. It's going to be okay. You got help is on the way. So I was like, the best thing that I can do is find something to put in her hand under her head, which became a Trader Joe's bag, to like stop the bleeding. But I was able to tell her, I was like, I'm pretty sure the bleeding has stopped. I mean, there was a big puddle of blood, like I'm talking like this big.
Oh my God.
Under her head. But she had stopped bleeding. It wasn't like running off of her hand behind her head or anything.
Was she now speaking more?
She was speaking more. She was able to tell me what her name was and I was just like, I'm gonna keep a calm demeanor and I'm gonna try to make eye contact and say everything's okay. And I don't know if this was the right thing to do, but I put a little bit of a smile on my face. In retrospect, I don't know if I should have done that.
Well, show me. What do you mean? Say the things you were saying?
It's gonna be okay. Is it a little demented?
Yeah, a little
with
bit.
A smile?
Yeah.
I kind of felt when I was doing it, I was like, how should it be a smile? Should it?
I'll just say the way I interpreted that was this guy he's enjoying it a little bit.
But aren't you surprised that of all the people who would be misinterpreted as enjoying a pool of blood emergency, it would be me? Like, well, I was really proud of myself.
The thing is you were
cool.
It probably wasn't as what you just did because with all that blood there, you had to be, I would think that your eyes showed a little bit of like.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah, but you were smiling at the same time. Who knows how you came across?
Well, the thing that I didn't want to be the one.
At least you didn't have your cowboy hat on.
I didn't. I didn't want to be able to I thought about it. Not at that moment, but before I got in the car. I didn't want to put my hand in the blood. So I gave her the bag and said, hey, put this on her head and put your hand back under there. And
what was the woman saying? Was she like, oh, I have seizures.
My impression was
this was a new thing.
This was a new thing. It caught her friend totally off guard. There was also, at first I thought, there was a lot of misconceptions. Well, let me skip to the end and then I'll tell you some of the misconceptions so that we can not have fun with this, but there's some weirder points.
Okay.
The paramedics came, she was stabilized and they got her out of there. I mean, I think that she was no longer bleeding, she was conscious. There's no way she didn't have a concussion. So, I mean, it could be pretty serious still, but like she was stabilized, she was taken care of. There was nothing else for us to do. As they were taking her off, we talked to her friend. We were like, you did great. She's gonna be taken care of. Everything's okay. Do you need anything else? And then it was kind of like everybody was able to take a breath and she was being cared for. And so then we just had to leave and go into the record store. But I mean, so I can't say it was a happy ending, but it was the best ending that I can provide for this story. So that then I can go back and say, when there was a big pool of blood, I was pretty confused when I walked up there. I was like, because there was a red pool of blood and then there was a green pool of blood. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Is this vomit?
Juice.
And they had smoothies.
Smoothies, yeah.
She had spilled her smoothie all over the place. But I was pretty damn confused for a second. But I wasn't as confused as Christy was when she
thought
first.
It might be a bodily fluid.
No, when Christy first saw the thing going down and she was like, something's happening. The reason why she didn't say somebody's hurt, she said, I asked her later, and she was like, I was like, you said something's happening. And she said, well, when I first saw that there were two people there, I thought two people were having sex.
Wow. And that's how something's happening.
I think she was like, something's happening. Don't pull in here. I think she also said, don't pull in here.
Oh yeah, don't pull out either.
Because she did. If people were having sex in the exit to the parking lot, which I mean, in fairness, this is Hollywood.
Oh, I've seen sex on the street.
It can totally happen.
Yeah.
She didn't want us to like slowly have to drive next to it to get our like parking ticket thing.
Yeah.
Because you can't just drive through. We would have to stop right next to this couple having sex.
Right.
But that's not what it was.
It wasn't sex.
On second look, it was an emergency.
It was one of the more unsexy things that could be happening, actually.
Yes. Talk about a turn.
Yeah.
In your hands. And then I go up and I'm like, green, what? But I was pretty, I was glad that I was able to keep my cool and be that close to some panic and a lot of blood.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make this story about like, oh, look at Look at me.
You want a badge or something?
Yeah, I'm not asking for a badge.
A patch?
I don't know.
You want the hero patch from the Cub Scouts that we never completed because we quit after the first day?
Christy told me not to tell this story on the podcast.
You'll probably get it on eBay.
Is that should I not have told this story?
We'll find out. We'll find out whether or not that was a good idea or not. I think it's fine. You
do the best I can.
I mean, what choice do we have, Link? We have a podcast. Things happen.
Right.
You got to talk about it.
And when you're a hero,
right,
you really got to talk about it.
So, I mean, I have my own
Wasn't a
story.
hero.
Now that you've told that story that I've remembered before we get into Yellowstone.
Something was happening to you too? Something was happening.
I was dropping Shepard and his friends off at the public transportation that they use to get around town. And as I'm pulling in to the place to drop them off, there is a guy who is backing down, was making another dude back down in a parking lot. And he's like, kind of like, he's got his arms
Backing
back.
down?
Like there's one guy backing away from another guy who's coming at him, but it's kind of slow, like the beginning of a fight.
Okay.
And like they're squaring up, but one guy is backing away and the other guy. And I thought at first the look on the guy's face was, I don't know, it's just because I happen to be, at least I attempt to be a comedian of sorts for a living. When I saw this guy making this face, I thought they were playing around. Like the look on his face was like the look on my face if I was acting like I was fighting you.
Just a little slap boxing face.
It was just like,
oh.
It was like very cartoonish.
Okay. Okay.
And the guy was backing away. But then he threw a haymaker.
What?
Caught the guy on the side of the head.
The guy who was on the offensive?
The guy on the offensive struck the guy on the defensive.
Good God, with a roundhouse.
Yeah. And then the guy like kind of like, it didn't catch him clean, but he threw a couple more punches. And at that point, Shepard was like, Dad, don't drop us off here. But he basically, he still wanted to get on like the train at that part, but he was like, not right here.
Yeah.
And so,
but you had already stopped, so you're like,
no, I had pulled into this parking lot and we kind of drove by it and I was like, oh, there it is. And so then
there it is. The
guy in the defensive, he crossed the street and then the other guy was still really mad. He was still fired up.
Making that face?
Yeah, and then another guy came up and started talking to him and was kind of laughing.
The things you see in these parts.
And but then we kind of were
never a dull moment.
Other end of the parking lot, and then, they got on public transportation in Los Angeles.
Sounds like we're both heroes, man.
That's right.
Sounds like we're both really combing the streets for things we can straighten out.
Yep. I averted crisis with that fight. Who knows what could happen if I had dropped the kids off at that part of the parking lot.
I left the bloody Trader Joe's bag just where it lay.
Ooh, you littered. Well, now you're not. You got to take that patch back.
What am I supposed to do?
Pick it up and put it in the trash. Give it to the paramedics. You can't leave a bloody bag on the ground.
Well, it was on the other side of the cement wall, and there were paramedics over there, and don't they clean that stuff
Well,
up?
let's just be honest, though. This is not the only bloody Trader Joe's bag that's somewhere on the streets of L.A. on that day.
Exactly.
Well, at the opposite end of the urban spectrum,
right,
we found ourselves
wilderness
in Montana. This is the third time that we've gotten together with our college buddies from NC State University. Go Wolfpack, go Pack. We were all really close in college. We reconnected during the pandemic, and now 3 years in a row of getting together for a weekend out of the year to enjoy nature, to risk some life and limb, not too much, just enough to have a story to tell. And we went to Montana, first time in Montana for the two of us.
They call it Big Sky, and I gotta say there is a lot of that there.
Mm-hmm.
We flew into Bozeman. We stayed just outside of Big Sky, the town, which is right next to Big Sky, the resort. And I got to be honest, Big Sky, the town, was not really a town. You know, it's like everything there was kind of built in the last 10 years or less.
You're not a new construction kind of guy, huh?
Around the fact that in the winter, this is where everybody comes to ski, and it's probably a totally different vibe. But in the summer, it was kind of like, okay, this is like a new development. I guess I expected like a mining town, you know, like when we went to Durango, or like even Bozeman is like a historic town.
Bozeman's more like that.
But Big Sky, the town, I don't think was anything.
And it's small.
Yeah. I didn't mean to start off with some complaints, but
yeah, let's not complain about
it. Having never been to Yellowstone, we're trying to figure out the best way to see it, and what we determined was e-bikes. I love a good e-bike, you know? You're out there in it. I mean, but you're not overexerting yourself, let's be real. And
not doing a lot of work.
I booked us a tour. It just ended up being us, like nobody else, with Big Sky. Let me make sure I get this right. Big Sky e-bike tours. Yeah. And it was amazing. Jay, the owner, was our guide. And shout out to Jay. He was awesome. Like, I would say, I said this afterward. Of all the guided tours that I've been on of all types over my life, I think he was the best tour guide I've ever had. He like took an experience that was really good and he made it really great. We could talk about some of the stories that he told.
He's very knowledgeable of the park, and also,
and it was nice because you get to move around on the bikes.
Well, the e-bike
versus
the part of it is great.
Going from parking lot to parking lot.
Yeah, you can just go right up, and then you park your bike, and then you see the thing. And he had one of those microphones that he's speaking into, and you all have on headphones, which I know is not like a revolutionary thing for a tour, but it's for an e-bike tour.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty necessary. So we'd be in this long line, 6 of us total. He's in the front. He's telling stories the whole time. And listen.
I asked him, now, is this two-way? Can you hear us talk back to you? And he was like, no. And I was like, well, I was glad I asked, because I thought you've been ignoring me the whole time, because I would be talking to you the whole time, Jay.
Oh, I thought you asked that late in the day.
No.
Early in the day.
I knew.
It was... I don't want to tell all Jay's stories, so we're not, because those are Jay's stories to tell. There's one story in particular that I do want to tell. And I was going to say that we should give a warning that we were going to tell a story about...
A gross story?
A gross story, but Link started off without a warning, so you're probably already gone.
Sorry.
So I'm going to tell another one at some point, but not yet. So I've always wanted to go to Yellowstone because I love geological things, and there are more, according to Jay, thermal features?
Yep.
Geothermal features in Yellowstone than the rest of the world combined? That seems to be the fact
good.
that I remember.
That sounds
but
like
I'll
a good
tell
way
you,
to say
we
it.
showed up, we drive in, and it was cold. It was a little nippy. It was like 45 degrees right as we're driving in. And so, of course, the temperature difference with all these geothermal features, and some of them are springs, some of them are pools, some of them are just a little fissure in the ground. There's just like steam just coming up.
And of course,
from
there's geysers
everywhere, and the geysers. But not just, there's Old Faithful. No, as you're driving in, you just get to these places, and it's just everywhere across the landscape. So
because the whole thing is a super volcano.
A caldera, I think, is what they call it, right?
Okay,
so
yeah.
It's this giant underground volcano that doesn't have
Cone.
a giant cone. Maybe it did at one point and it like blew up or something. But
we saw Old Faithful first. It was nice to have a tour guide because these things they work on a schedule. That's why it's called Old Faithful. But not only that, there's other geysers that like within a margin of error, you can show up at the right time and see it. So we didn't have to worry about any of that. But I think once we started going to a few pools and when we'd get off the bikes and look at a pool, the questions we started to ask let him know that we wanted to go morbid.
Oh yeah.
I think he picked up on that signal very early on because then he just started letting us have the stories.
So all these pools are, first of all, they're all different, right? So the pH of the water is different depending on the pool. It's
The
like
temperatures.
some of them
vary.
are. I think we discovered that the boiling point for water at the elevation in this valley was 199 degrees Fahrenheit. And so there are some that are basically at that and they're just sitting boiling. You just walk up to this pool. And now there's like a walkway, you know. At some point there wasn't a walkway, but now there's a walkway with a little like fence or whatever.
Some of them have fences, some of them don't.
But you can't walk up to any of them. The only ones you can walk right up to are the ones that have walkways. I guess if you like went into the backcountry, but technically that's illegal. You're not supposed to like just walk off because you can die.
They're very serious about you staying on the walkways because if you go off of the walkway, because it is tempting to like, oh, I'm gonna go just over here a little bit and get a picture, you know, I gotta get the right selfie. If you post that on the internet and the FBI is scouring these for like the geotags and they'll see exactly where you are when you're taking the picture and then they will come after you with a court summons
and it's like
and/or a
very
fine.
legit. It's very legit. He told a story.
Like Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah, he got busted recently.
Like within the last month, James Bond himself was dinged with a fine.
Had to come back into town to go to court. And they're very serious about it.
They're very serious
and the way that he told a story about this girl who, you know, basically you go to Yellowstone, you take a bunch of selfies, you take video, and if you get too close to one of these things, you get off the path or you get too close to a bison or whatever you might do, these are all federal, these are all park violations. It's technically federal, I guess, because it's a national park. And so they use the geotags. The FBI is literally looking at the geotags of everything posted from Yellowstone and seeing if there's any violations. And so what happened is once this woman she posted this stuff and they like messaged her or came after her or something.
People were yelling at her because she was in a particular place and she was kind of being really obnoxious about it.
Right.
And people were upset about that and upset at her. And then she got a little too close for comfort, but then like ran back from a geyser or something.
But she turned her social media off.
Yeah,
for 4 months.
Yeah.
And was like, okay, I guess I'm good. And as soon as she came back online,
ding,
FBI knocking on the door.
That's great. Pierce Brosnan needs to be doing some sort of like public service campaign for them now.
You know, once he told us that, I immediately stopped all my federal violations.
Oh, we weren't currently.
No, I'm
doing
kidding.
any federal violations.
I wasn't going to get close. But we got to tell this. We got to tell this one story.
Yeah,
this is gnarly. Okay, you've heard the warning.
Well,
it's
there's
gnarly.
no pictures. I mean, it's.
I will paint a picture.
Okay, do it.
All right, so
the pools are mesmerizing.
They look like the most amazing hot tubs that you could ever imagine. Because they are so hot and because they are so acidic, there's only a few things that can grow in there. In fact, there's this, you know, microbial life that only lives in these particular hot springs because nothing can grow. And basically the heat and the bacterial life, they create these amazing colors. So you'll have
concentric rings as
almost
you come
rainbow.
Out. Yep. And they're so different bacteria, different color. So it corresponds to the different temperature of water that they're able to thrive in.
And the surface inside these things, a lot of them, is this white mineral deposit that looks like something that if you were building an incredible hot tub in your backyard, you would love a surface like this.
Yeah.
Like a smooth, silica surface of all these deposits. And it's just white. And then there's some stuff on it, but
there was one lip on the edge, and it looked like God had carved a couch into the side of it.
Yeah.
And if
looked
there
like
wasn't
you
a
could just get in
fence,
there.
we'd be talking about, hey, go sit on that couch, Mo.
Right.
Hey, man, go sit on that couch.
And the water is so turquoise, amazingly turquoise, and then the way that the whatever's coming out of the pools is interacting with whatever's around them. All around is like this rusty orange color. So you take, if you're a painter and you're painting, you love like mixing like a turquoise with an orange because they are opposite on the color spectrum and they're very complementary. Like this is happening naturally in these places where this incredible blue eye surrounded by this rusty color, and it just looks like a painting. Everything looks like a painting.
So, if you're a dog, say a golden retriever, you could see how you might impulsively want to take a dip.
So there was a guy who was there with his friends who had a dog. Okay? The dog jumps into one of the pools, and immediately, without thinking, this guy sees his friend's dog go into this pool. He takes his shirt off. He dives headfirst in after the dog. He immediately comes up, and his head emerges from the water. First thing that they see is that his eyes are completely white, because they've already got these chemical burns that have just burned the surface of his eye. And he says, that was stupid. Somehow he like gets to the edge and they're able to get him out. Like, this is gonna get bad, okay? They get him out, and as he puts his hands on the ground, the skin of his arms just sloughs off like a glove. It was that acidic, and it was already doing that to him.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you want to talk about what happened to his foot?
I don't remember. I think I stopped listening. I was like, blah, 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 blah.
Oh,
at that point
you
in
didn't
the story.
see this. They were telling you this story?
Oh,
You
yeah.
saw this. I thought you
Jenna.
saw. Jesus.
No, Jenna, we weren't there. This is a tour guide story.
I'm sorry.
Hold on.
Jamie thought the same thing.
Hold on,
we
but
both thought
if
y'all
both
were
of y'all
there
thought that,
witnessing it.
if both of y'all thought that, that means that a lot of people are going to think that because there's something about the way we set it up. So let me just say, and
okay.
go back and insert this in.
No, don't.
Oh my God.
The story,
tell you now.
the story we're about to tell is a story that didn't happen to us. It was told to us.
Hey, if that's what's going to keep you listening, we'll clarify right now. I'm feeling a little faint.
Anyway,
Definitely painted a picture.
his shoe came off and his foot stayed in it.
I am feeling nauseous in a way now that I didn't when he told me that day.
Oh my God.
And he died.
He died.
You don't come back from that.
Yeah.
So
And I think he pretty much died right then.
don't go and don't jump in. Now there are some pools.
That's some really good last words though.
That was stupid. There are some pools in the park that are not acidic and are not too hot. And apparently,
Locals
the
know.
locals know where those are at. But you can imagine all the experiments that have been done to figure out can we get into this one? Who are we gonna make go into this one?
It's
It's gnarly.
We saw the largest hot spring
In North America.
in North America.
Third largest in the world behind two that are in New Zealand, which you have seen at least one of them.
Apparently, I did. Yeah.
Apparently. 360 degrees in diameter.
Well,
360 feet in diameter, I think.
it's
So longer than a
called the
football field.
Grand Prismatic
This thing was
Spring.
amazingly beautiful.
If you're at eye level with it, the light bouncing off of the water makes the steam that's coming off. It colorizes it like a rainbow.
Yeah,
because
it's like
that
looking into a
because of
rainbow.
this because
like a
of the
rainbow that's just in the mist
prism.
of the ground.
It's a grand prism. So that was cool, and we hiked up to get some elevation and take a look at that.
Now, one of the things that he was talking about, it was just so fascinating to me as we were sitting next to the river having lunch, is we began talking about the balance of nature as it exists in Yellowstone. And this was just wild because we had seen elk as we came in, and we had seen bison as we came in. We had learned that bison and buffalo are the same thing. buffalo is a slang term for bison.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, these are the animals that roam the Great Plains of America. There were millions upon millions of them until we showed up and killed like almost all of them. But they have made a little bit of a comeback, and there are these wild herds that still exist and are protected, like the herds that are in Yellowstone. And so you've seen the TikTok videos. In fact, I think there's a TikTok account called Tourons, tourists who are morons. And it's people getting too close to these things. And the bison don't F around, and they will
Gore you.
take your ass out or give you a new asshole is really what they'll do.
Yep.
And so anyway, we were a little bit frightened, but he begins to tell the story because I was like, didn't they reintroduce wolves, and aren't there bears here? And like, what's the deal with this and that? And he began to tell us sort of the intricate story of the different powers that be and the biologists who work for the park, but also the conservationists or the public or the hunters or whatever, and the different people who are vying for this. And then you got like the ranchers and the farmers in that part of the country who, they don't want the wolves to be around because they're killing their livestock, but because the elk didn't have any natural predators, all of a sudden the elk population is completely out of control. And of course, hunters come in and like take some of them out, but there's still too many of them. They reintroduce wolves. They can't reintroduce the timber wolf, which is what was native to the area, because it's extinct because we killed that sucker. So they put another type of wolf in there that's a little bit bigger, has no trouble taking out the elk, and all of a sudden they're thriving, and maybe they're getting a little bit too big. You've also got the grizzlies, and then he's talking to us about the fish. We're sitting there next to the river.
Right.
And he's like, there's a few different trout species in this river. And the only one that's native is the cutthroat. But there's also brown trout and there's rainbow trout. And he says, what the biologists do is they come down here and they put like a temporary sort of like net or whatever, and they net off a very large area of the river. And then they put some chemical in there that knocks all the fish out. They float to the surface. The biologists go around and they take out the invasive species and they put them on the shore. And then they put another chemical in there and they
wake them back up.
They wake them back up. This is crazy that people are doing this. I mean, it's kind of awesome that they're trying to figure out how to, but once you've really screwed up the balance of nature, you can see how difficult it is to get it back, but they're really making noble efforts to do so. But that was fascinating.
Right. I also think that there's a balance of nature and like people jumping into hot springs and dying. Maybe that's called natural selection.
The Darwin Awards?
Yeah. But we learned all about nature.
But while we were there at the river, we were trying to figure out how we were going to go to the place that we wanted to get to, because they had closed down a road because the bison herd had come in and they were basically splitting this road. And there's some on the road and there's some next to the road. And this was like the mating season. So you've got all these really horny males who are in the rut. Rutting?
Yeah,
what are they?
yeah.
They're rut?
Yeah.
They're horny, They're kicking up dust. They're trying to F anything they can. And they're out of control, and they don't want the tourists to get too close to them and get in between them and something that they want. And so they shut down this whole road that we needed to get our e-bikes down so we could e-bike.
Yeah.
And so because Jay's the hero of the story. Jay, because he knew the park ranger.
We were heroes of our own stories.
Right. Earlier we told those.
Fine.
He basically talked to them and he was like, can we get, we need to get down to this parking lot, and can we get an escort for just us and the bikes? And they were nice enough to let us, because it was just one group. It wasn't like they're letting everybody in. So the park ranger escorted us through this herd of bison on this road. And there's
we want, to notch your story down a little bit. We weren't on bikes at the time.
No, we were in a truck.
The bikes were in a trailer, and we were.
I kind of wanted to be on the bikes.
I wanted to be on the bikes
in the herd to be able to tell.
I don't want
to
be a Touron.
When we told Jay this as we were, because he's telling us stories the whole time about bears and bison and all the stuff that can happen, and we were like, well, if something does happen, we have a podcast. We'll talk about it on it. So we kind of want something to go sideways, but nothing really did.
And look at us still talking about it.
But we took the e-bikes through, and we got kind of close to some bison at times where it was enough to be like, damn, these things are big. But after like talking about the balance of nature and hearing all about bison, that night we went to a restaurant and bison was on the menu.
Oh, bison's on the menu, boys.
And I was like, I just feel like to complete the circle of life here, I need to eat bison.
Okay, yep. And so you did.
And the woman,
a lot of places serve bison around there. It seems everybody wants it.
she said, this bison is not local bison because the local bison would taste like sage grass because that's what they eat. This is Canadian farmed bison, which I would then go on to find out later using another resource that we'll tell you about in a second, that I think 96% of all bison are just on farms right now. People just farm them for food, just like they would cows, but there's still like a small percentage out there that are still, the buffalo are still roaming out.
How did it taste?
It tasted like lean beef. And there's, let's just be honest here. There's a reason that cows ended up becoming the thing that people ate besides bison, right? And I don't really know the history of this. Cattle are domesticated bovine. I think that they're actually from Europe. I don't think that they are like buffalo that were bred to be different. I don't think. But they're all coming from the same common ancestor at some point, this bovine thing, right?
Okay.
But
they don't taste as good as cows, what you're getting at.
Well, because cows are basically genetically engineered over many generations to basically be like a certain combination of fat and muscle or whatever. And so, however, there's a lot of people who prefer the taste of wild game because it hasn't been engineered in that way. But when you've just kind of grown up and that's what you've been eating, I think wild game can take a little bit getting used to. In fact, the woman at the restaurant was, she said, and the woman at the second restaurant, the second night where there was also bison on the menu, which I didn't get the second day, she was like, oh yeah, because I ordered it medium rare. She said, you should order wild game one step up, cook temperature wise. Because
less rare than you usually order beef.
It will be less rare, so you should order it more done. So if you like medium rare steak.
No, it will be more rare, so you need to order it
medium.
less rare.
Yeah, you need to order it more cooked. So you should order medium. I should have ordered medium instead of medium rare. It was just too rare for me.
And I know you can make the rec of the book, but since you're talking about eating Canadian bison, that brings up a voicemail that we received.
Hi, I'm from Ottawa, Canada, and I've been listening for many years, and I just had a question about what do you guys think of Canada? I feel like Canadians know a lot about the United States. I tend to know a lot of cities, but I've heard that Americans don't know that much about Canada, and I'm wondering how much you guys know and what you generally think of us. I'm just curious. Thanks so much. Bye.
Okay. Well, thanks for the question. As it turns out, we know a lot about Canada. Of course, for starters, we know that your bison is the most edible.
We know that the children in Canada are never fed from the breast. Instead, they are fed directly from the maple tree.
Right.
If you go to Canada, what you'll find is that the babies are placed, there's a wrapping that goes around the babies, and they're just placed onto trees, and somebody goes up and puts a little
right there at the mouth,
a little siphon, and it basically feeds them maple syrup. That's how the babies are raised. I know that much.
It was the original term for tree hugger was referring to Canadian babies.
Right.
It's been co-opted.
Right.
By the environmentalists.
I know that.
Or people who refer to environmentalists.
I know that you all speak French. I also know that everyone is required to play hockey.
Right.
It's not really a negotiable thing. In order to get your GED, which is, the equivalent of a high school degree, you have to be at least able to ice skate.
Yes. Of course, we know that in Canada there are no there are no delineations. There's no states or you wouldn't call, even if you called it something else, you don't have it.
It's just one big thing called Canada.
Because
it's almost like it's just another U.S. state.
But it's huge.
Just a
we know
big
it's
one
huge.
that's on top.
And there's not many cities.
I think there's 3 cities.
But
I think Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal. There's 3 cities, and the rest is just open plain.
Well, and then
or forest.
Ottawa, I think, she mentioned Ottawa, so
that's not a city.
That's a region.
That's a region.
That's a region, but it's not but the regions don't. It's unusual that region has a name because most of them don't. Because I know this because I've met a lot of Canadians, and every time I meet a Canadian, and what they'll do is they'll say they're from Canada, and that's all they'll say.
Right, because there's really no distinction between.
There's nothing else you can say.
But
thing, they say that I am from Canada.
Yeah, another thing that was surprising to me is that there's actually less than 1,000 people who live there.
Right.
There are more people.
And the fact that I've met 5 is pretty amazing.
More people went to Harnett Central High School
than live in
Canada.
Right.
Which is something that a lot of people don't know. I think one time they did get over 1,000, but it was just when somebody married an American so they could get Canadian citizenship, and then they both moved back to America because they were like, this is too cold, and now there's less than 1,000 again.
And if they eat Italian noodles up there, they call it pasta.
Yeah.
That's how they say it.
Right.
They say pasta.
Yeah.
I don't know why they do that. That's like, they're smart people, the 1,000 people, but that people think that they're stupid because they say pasta.
And they also refer to the female reproductive organs as poutine.
Right. Yep.
Which is really the best part about Canada.
Poutine it in and taking it out.
When I tell my wife that I'm in the mood for poutine
it in,
she doesn't have to be a Canadian to know exactly what I mean by that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we love Canada.
You poutine the gravy.
Oh God, no, dude. Let it lay, man. Let it lay.
All right. I mean, I just want to tell you, if you want to know anything, leave us a voicemail.
Yeah, we love answering your questions.
1-888
Earpod 1. Now, let's talk about this wreck, because this is going to be a wreck, but also a discussion.
Yeah.
Again, it goes back to Jay, the best tour guide in the history of e-bikes, maybe the best tour guide in the history of tour guiding.
I got to say so.
He recommended, as we were asking many questions, and let me just be honest with you at this point, we were 5 middle-aged dads, and I've noticed something happening to me. I was telling Jesse about this the other day. I'll be 47 very soon, and it's something about passing 45, I think. All of a sudden, I'm just really interested in history. And I'm just finding myself becoming a dad and I just want to read books about history. And I'm like, how the hell did I get here?
Yeah, I mean, we've hated it for so long.
Yeah, right. History.
I don't know.
God.
And you got me into this book, and are you saying this is my gateway drug to history?
Well,
Okay.
I've always loved natural history as a subject. And this book is a little bit of both. So,
well, when they call it earth science, I'm like, oh, I like that. But when you call it natural history, I'm
well,
like,
Jay recommended the book by Steve Ranella. It's called American Buffalo, and I was familiar with Steve.
He's a local guy. He's in Bozeman.
Yeah,
So-
I think he's from Montana, and I had he lives in
Bozeman.
he's probably like
I don't know if he's from
one of the most popular outdoorsmen in the world or whatever. So I seen him on a number of things and always enjoyed hearing him tell stories and stuff. So Jay recommended American Buffalo as a great resource. If he could tell that these dads were dadding so hard that the more history that they could find out about the buffalo, the better.
Yeah.
So he was like, Ken Burns actually made a documentary about the American buffalo, but I personally prefer Steve Ranella's book, American Buffalo. So that was when I was like, hey, guys.
In retrospect, you really can't compare the two because they're really not about the same thing.
One's a documentary also, one's a book.
Okay.
I'm sure anything Kim Burns does is great, but I haven't watched it. So this is a much smaller time commitment too. You can listen to American Buffalo in less than 10 hours. So I was like, hey guys, why don't we, as a way to kind of continue to like have something to talk about as a group, why don't we all get this book and listen to it? You know, Greg had a big trip back home. He was driving, so he was going to start it. And
Yeah.
I actually finished it like 3 days after we got back. But it's a great book. But, you know, he's telling the history of the buffalo, but he's also kind of weaving in the modern day story of him getting a buffalo tag, which is when you get a tag, you basically get a permit to hunt a buffalo. And again, this is all like
in a certain part of Alaska.
This is all like the way that all this is. It really ties into the conversation we were having earlier, which is that, you know, hunters play a really important role in, basically, humans have come into the situation and effed it up real bad, right? And we've changed the balance of nature in a lot of ways. And one of the ways that we now have to, we actually, because we impacted it so much, we have to kind of keep doing some things to actually rectify some of the shit that we've wreaked on nature. And one of the ways is actually you have to cull some of these animals in order for them not to just die horrible, starving deaths in the wild. So I don't know the ins and outs of it, but these, you know, basically these people are awarded tags to, and you get hardly any, right? Because they're trying to control the population. They're not trying to eliminate the population like they did back in the day. Mm-hmm. So it's really unusual to get a tag. And he tells the story of getting the tag and then going on the hunt, which was crazy. And then tells a story of how the buffalo basically became the buffalo and then became what it is today. And it's a fascinating story.
Yeah, there's some archaeology, and I knew you were geeking out to that.
Yeah,
like finding the bones. That I kept saying, you know, we had that day after we were done tubing down the Madison River, which was an amazing experience, super relaxing and awesome. I kept saying, hey, when we go through Bozeman, there is a top-notch dinosaur museum here. And I just said that, and I was seeing if anybody would perk up. I thought you were going to be all over that. Be like, yeah, I want to see some dinosaurs. But
I would be interested in it. But I think the thing that I actually am interested in is
digging up a bone,
finding the bones. I don't want to. The digging of the bone is a long process. It takes a while.
Maybe you want to find an arrowhead.
You get the interns to do that. But I want to find it and maybe like step in for a couple of like
okay,
couple of photo ops.
Okay, I get that. I'll join you for that.
Yeah.
Call me for the photo op. But yeah, I've enjoyed the book. The thing that I've really liked about it is his ultra specific and relatable descriptions of things that are foreign to me. Like, I've never hunted. I'm not really into that. I mean, I can appreciate the thrill of the hunt with the way that he describes it, but I can understand it because he'll say things like, it rattled, the sound of the so-and-so rattled like a box with one tic-tac. You know, it's like, oh, I know exactly what that sounds like. He has a knack for using these sort of analogous descriptions, which I really get a kick out of.
Relatable terms.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it makes me want to start journaling my life and describing it in super descriptive ways. Like that, that's my biggest takeaway from the book.
I had one Tic Tac left in my fanny pack, and this is what it sounded like.
Well,
you see, it's not going to be.
He didn't actually have a Tic Tac at all. He was talking about something else. Well, that was what was so cool about it.
You could be like, I think maybe you could journal about the things that you experienced around Los Angeles. My wife said something's happening. She thought that these women were fornicating, but it turns out one of them had a seizure. We grabbed a Trader Joe's bag.
I hope she's fine.
There was green blood and red blood as we approached the body. Yeah, see, people would read that.
And he was on a raft in a river with a guy named Rafferty, but he never acknowledged that. That bothered me a little bit.
Oh, he wanted you to make that discovery for yourself.
Yeah, it's like leaving a little bit to the reader. I like that. So if you don't think you'd be into what we described, then you won't.
You won't be.
You won't be.
Yeah.
So don't. But if you think you would be, then you will be. So you should listen to it.
But I agree that you don't have to be like an active, Some people, just the idea of hunting is like, it's a non-starter. I don't want to have a conversation about it. I don't want to hear anybody talk about it. I get that. I respect that. But you don't necessarily.
And I'm closer to that, and I'm a little bit on that side of this.
I mean, I hunted growing up. I haven't done it in my adult life.
But this book was.
But
I'm not done. It's engaging.
Yeah, it's just like there's something about the journey, right? It's a very specific journey with one very specific goal. Mm-hmm. That is super relatable in the way that he tells the story. But again, history, I don't know. I'm in this history phase, man. I read that chamber divers thing. I've done the American buffalo. And then I just started this Lost City of the Monkey God book or whatever, which is about some city in Honduras and the jungle that all these people have tried to find. And I guess it's a little bit history and a little bit like modern day adventure.
Uh-huh.
I'm kind of in that phase right now. I think this is all going to culminate in us having to go on some grand adventure. I'm just telling you. I think you can.
I like the sound of that.
You can only read about this stuff so much before you're like, well, shit, we got to go find something. So, I don't know. Prepare yourself, man.
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay. You might have to bring 2 fanny packs though.
I
Kind of stuff that I'm thinking about.
I have to. I'm ready.
Oh, okay.
I'm telling you.
One for each side of the fanny.
Yeah, I'm ready, man. and for my new asshole that the bison gave me.
Right. Yeah.
All right, we'll talk to you next week. And in the meantime, don't forget about us.
Hi, Rhett Link and Jenna. My name is Mandy. I live in Seattle. Big fan. That's my cat Theo, if you can hear him. I just wanted to let you guys know that we in social services, at least me, in the area here, I've been using Vote Like a Beast to register a lot of my residents to register to vote. It's been a really helpful tool, so thank you guys so much for creating it. Love you so much.